All right, it's Joe Croom from No Days Off Fitness here with Bryon Sperduti, the DFAC October 3rd overall men's bodybuilding champion who is now prepping for Miami Worlds, the Olympia of natural bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So who's Bryon Sperduti?
Who's Bryon Sperduti? A father, a husband, personal trainer, business owner, CEO, and garbage man of Genesis Personal Training. Wear a lot of different hats, but tend to manage them all pretty well.
Where are you from?
Originally from Lackawanna, New York, Bethlehem Park. Now residing in West Seneca, New York.
And what do you do?
I own Genesis Personal Training. It's a online personal training company that also deals with nutrition and training. And I also train clients one-on-one out of Steel Mill Gym in Lackawanna.
1, 2, 3, 4 Everett Road. So what promoted you to begin competitive bodybuilding?
Competitive bodybuilding, I would say, started back in 2001. If you're asking what actually got me into the sport, two personal trainers, Liz and Dave Wolf, they're based out of Lackawanna. They're personal trainers.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And I started training with them in like 2000 and completely fell in love with the sport. They are some really good people and pointed me in the right directions, helped me out, and fell in love with it ever since.
Yeah. How many years you been in the sport?
Since 2000. Since 2000. Yeah.
So what exactly got you started? What ran through your head when you were like, okay, I'm going to do a bodybuilding show?
I think when I was done playing sports in high school, and I didn't play sports in college because I became really interested in bodybuilding and how specific training routines and nutrition can change somebody's body composition and weight. So that's where I knew I wanted to be competitive and I wanted to do something physical. And I just took to bodybuilding. I just loved every aspect of it.
You get so in depth with it and get lost at the same time. Yeah. What would be your ultimate achievement?
Ultimate achievement would be to win Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Miami.
Would that be a life achievement as well?
It'd be a life achievement. In the field I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be him taking out the garbage.
Yeah.
So when you come up with a goal, how do you set it?
When I come up with a goal, I work at a game plan to reach that goal. And I stick to that game plan no matter what. Yeah. And I make adjustments along the way. So if it's to anywhere from coming up with a nutrition game plan to a weight training game plan, work that game plan, stay on top of your notes, make those adjustments, go back, and then at the end of a certain time frame, look at what you've achieved thus far and see what needs to be changed. I'm real big on game planning. I don't like to just throw caution to the wind and kind of just do something. I want there to be a purpose behind what I'm doing.
Okay, so what is the diet like?
Well, I'm a huge believer in flexible dieting if it fits your macros. My version of it is about an 80-20 split between high nutrient dense foods and about 80% that's coming from high nutrient dense foods, 20% is coming from some fun foods. I deal with, it's more or less of cutting down very small cuts to your caloric intake with a scalpel along the way, engaging how you're feeling, how your weight is adjusting, and how you're also looking in the mirror. My whole philosophy on weight training and nutrition, especially nutrition, is I look at it like a toolbox. If I don't have to use 6 nails to get the job done, I only need 2, then I'm only going to use 2. If I only have to cut my carbs by 20 grams, that's all I'm going to cut them by. There's no use in me taking a hatchet to a plant. Again, because you're taking those notes along the way and watching what's going on, how your body's adjusting to it.
Be your own case study at the end of the day.
Huge. Be your own case study. Everybody's bodies are different. This is a field of theories. You apply them and see how your body adapts.
Yeah. What are one of two things you do that prepares you for the sport that you do differently than other people that you feel kind of gives you an edge as well at the same time?
I think the nutrition part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so obsessed over meal timing. I think sometimes people can become a little bit of Cinderella Rain Manish. And you got to eat by 3 o'clock. I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin. Got to eat by 3 o'clock. I'm gonna turn into a pumpkin. Where I think you can have a little bit more flexibility, so I'm not stressed out. My eating isn't a stressor.
Hmm.
It's just something I do throughout the day.
And I'm sure if you spoke to anybody when it comes to this whole aspect of things, they'll always tell you nutrition's the most important part. Because, you can come in here and do 300 sit-ups a day and you look in the mirror and you ain't got abs. You'd be mad at yourself like you're not doing enough. But in reality, abs are made in the kitchen. What is the best advice you were ever given? And who was it from?
That's what when I first started. Dave Wolf, when we worked nutrition together, I'd ask a lot of questions, and he'd answer the questions. He was awesome at that. But he always told me, stick to your trainer,
Yeah.
because as soon as you tell somebody you're competing, they want to take their philosophies, which is great, but they want you to apply them because that works for them. Even though you're already working with somebody, I always tell people when somebody's in prep for a show or they're working with a trainer, the best thing you could do to them is pat them on the back and say, "Keep going, champ."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because especially people that are new, because you're only going to confuse them.
Yeah.
And then it's going to seem overwhelming, and that could actually, you know, just confuse them to the point where they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So keep on blinders, stick to one trainer, stick to their game plan, and you and that trainer make adjustments together.
Yeah, and I mean he's spoken to me about this exact aspect since I started working down here at the steel mill. Because everybody's got their own opinion. We have a lot of competitors down here. Everybody does different things. Everybody's got different philosophies. Whether you're cutting water, not cutting water, whether you're worried about meal times, whether you're not eating enough calories, whether you're worried about carbs, things like that. It's like everybody's gonna have their own opinion, and then it's just really as if if you're investing your time and even money into somebody who's taking the time out of their day to kind of lay things out for you and manipulate them based on how your body is, and you're actually, giving the effort for that, why would you want to listen to people who are coming in out of nowhere just because it did work for them? Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Family.
Yeah.
Easy. I always tell people, I compete in bodybuilding. You have to be disciplined. There has to be some sacrifice. But if I could, I'm not an auto mechanic. I don't know how to work a car. So the things I can show my kids are that if you dedicate yourself to something and you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to sacrifice, you can accomplish anything. And I think that's where I draw my inspiration from. I mean, of course you want to win. Of course you want the trophies. Of course you want the notoriety. But at the end of the day, if you can instill a value in your kids, that's just what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I draw my inspiration from.
Even just putting your priorities the right way. Yes, Bryon, full-time personal trainer down here at the steel mill, competitive bodybuilder, and he's also a father. And he weighs him out exactly how he should. I look up to this man. So if you had 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, what would you work on in the gym?
Compound movements.
Yeah,
Squats, deads, bench.
just strictly that?
Yeah, I think that'd be, you're talking about 3 huge movements, puts a lot of stress on the body, gets the heart rate up. If I only had 30 minutes, that's what I would at least base my program around.
Yeah.
Make that the foundation of compound movements.
So how much does your weight fluctuate through, whether you're in surplus or maintaining or you're in a deficit? How much does your weight fluctuate through those 3 periods?
I try to stay within 12 to 15 pounds year round of the stage weight. So if I'm competing at 165, I really try to stay right around 178, 180. I find I tend to prep a little longer. I like a long 30-week prep because I like to play around with some carb loads in there, see how my body's responding to some different things.
Because every prep is not going to be the same either.
No, every prep
Every
will
prep will
change.
not be the same.
Yeah. So if you do make a mistake in those 30 weeks, you have enough time to correct it. You know. So yeah, I try to stay at max 15 pounds in the off season because you know at the very end of my prep is when I feel a little strength decrease. Really. So there's no need for me to really go up 40, 50 pounds in the off season at this point.
Let alone so rapidly.
Yeah, absolutely. Very just like you take 30 weeks to cut down to prep for a show, you want to take those weeks, those couple months to reverse out of a show.
Yeah.
You know, metabolism repair and just overall, recovery.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
What is the difference between if it fits your macros and the bro diet? Pay attention.
Well, if you really want to know the difference between the two, I might blow everybody's mind here or break the internet, but bro foods have macros in them. You know what I'm saying here?
I'm picking up what
You
you're
see what I'm
dropping.
saying?
Yeah.
So, really, all a bro diet is, to me, is eating the same macronutrient-rich foods every day, the same food every day.
Mm-hmm.
So we all are on macros. I think now, don't get me wrong. I think some people take the macro diet and if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, and they do abuse it.
Yeah.
Okay. But just like a bro diet, if you eat the same foods every day, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily hitting all your micronutrients because you're eating the same food. So you still can be deficient in some areas. So is there a difference between if it fits your macros and bro diet? There's a difference, but really not as much as people think. I think we just get caught up because in a bro diet, some may give a cheat day where if it fits your macros, instead of having that cheat day, you're getting little mini cheats every day.
Mm-hmm.
So really the huge difference between the two is not much. Yeah. Bros and macroers have a lot more in common than what they think. It's just whether you want to be a little bit more, it's whether you want to have different macros throughout your prep or you want to have the same macros throughout your prep. So to say, I'm going to give you a bro diet or a macro diet, kind of silly.
Yeah.
Because it's just going, hey, do you want flexibility within your plan or would you like more of a set macro-based plan?
Who wouldn't want to eat whatever they want?
Yeah, to a point.
Yeah.
To a point. But in essence, it's kind of the same thing. It just, I think people just like arguing about it, just to argue about it at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, some people are stuck in the 80s. So that's the problem.
It is what it is. And in the 80s, hey, the 80s work. They work. I love the 80s. Oh, yeah. Jeremy.
I mean, I do the bro diet. I mean, that's just my philosophy. And I've never had anything against it if it fits your macros. But I remember, watching him because he started his prep as soon as I started working here, just watching things. And I was trying to just put the piece together to figure out how it actually works. And I remember every day, you catch a glimpse over there. You see Bryon like this. And then at the end of the day, he's eating pancakes, Pop-Tarts, and Nutella. And if you have that option and you're intelligent about it to where you're not overindulging in these type of foods, and you can make it work, obviously it's a walking case study right here. He lays out a plan for himself, and he leads by example to what he promotes.
And then as time goes on through my prep, I tend to switch more to bro foods, and for the only reason that as I start to scale back on my cals and my macros, I go to more higher volume foods. For instance, when I'm early in prep and my carbs are at 350 a day or 400 or even 300, I may be able to fit in some of the fun foods.
Yeah.
As they start cutting down, and I look at it as, well, I can go with a Pop-Tart that has 35 grams of carbs in it, 5 grams of fat, 2 grams of protein. That's one, not two, because they sell 2 in a pack. But remember, that's only the macros for one. Or I can go with broccoli, which has, 4 grams of carbs per 84 grams.
Yeah.
Well, I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm here till 8 o'clock at night. I need higher volume foods towards the end of my prep. So it's just choice-based.
Yeah.
But if I really wanted to have something like a Pop-Tart or something like, a Nutella or something like that, I could. But just remember, that might not be the wisest choice because that's going to take up a large amount of your macros every day. So that's as it cuts towards the end of my prep, I tend to go higher volume, higher nutrient dense foods, just because my calories and macros are a little lower.
Yeah. And I mean, like exactly what he is saying about the whole higher volume foods. You know, when you give somebody a diet, you know, everybody's so scared of carbs when carbs isn't the enemy at the end of the day. Everybody's so scared of carbs whether they're too high for the people whoever you are giving them to. You know, and there are also people who are convinced that brown rice and chicken is the way to go. You know, like if you're gonna eat brown rice and chicken, like hell yeah, that is a lot of carbs. You know, but if you are flexible, you can actually make things work that way. Like yes, what two Pop Tarts is what 60 something grams of carbs, 70 grams of
That's a
carbs.
lot.
Yeah, see, so you can knock that out. You know, not saying like, oh, just eat a bunch of other foods that are super high in carbs just to get that out of the way. You have to be smart about it as well, because there's one thing that he told me when I probably the first couple times I've ever spoken to him that I'll never forget. You know, he said, "Have you ever looked on the internet and seen an article of some sort that said so and so got fat from eating ice cream?" And I kind of thought about like, no, you know, and it's like exactly because they got fat because they ate too much ice cream. So by him saying that, that's pretty much saying you can eat whatever you want if you eat it in proportions to therefore fitting your macros that are given to you. The whole fit your macros is really how creative you can be.
And consistent.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to have, I can't see, for me anyway, raising a family, keeping a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
and eating chicken and brown rice every day.
Yeah.
So once I started flexible dieting, I found that I'm not going to say it was easy,
Yeah.
but it was an easier approach to being able to make pancakes every Sunday morning during prep in the earlier stages, and being able just to weigh out my own pancake mix in grams and make my pancake. But yet my kids have their pancakes, my wife has hers, and we sit and we have a good time every Sunday morning.
They got Aunt Jemima and he's got Walden Farms. You know,
Hey.
you just gotta figure it out.
It's about consistency and maintainability, a lot with nutrition. Because you start going too extreme, the less percentage of people are going to be able to follow it.
And I mean, even based off because like I said, I do the bro diet for when I prep, and he does the if it fits your macros. You know, and there are certain things like he will explain to me that make sense because you know during my prep, you know, I did a couple cheat meals, but one was on my birthday, which was Applebee's. You know, and then I remember speaking to Bryon before when he's like, you know, I go to Applebee's, but he counts what he's eating. You know, it's not like you can't go to Applebee's and type in, you know, 4 ounces of chicken breast because you got it from Applebee's. You can actually type in Applebee's based on what app you have, and it'll give you whether you're eating a half a breadstick or whole breadstick. You can break it down however you need to break it down. But that's what he's saying, the flexibility, because it does become a damper on your outside life. You know, if you can't be creative with that, like if you can't go out, you know, where you're kind of just restricted to being in a gym than literally just driving home, you know, standing in front of your stove, cooking the same food and, you know, being repetitive day after day after day to where he fits it into his life outside of the gym. So it's not like when he starts prep, his whole aspect of what's going on for that next 30 weeks is going to be completely different. Because he's in prep right now, but when he's done with prep, nothing's going to change because he's still going to be tracking his food and he's still going to be going out doing this and doing that because everything's fitting into what he's doing. Priorities.
Yeah, priorities, and that's how you maintain a healthy mind in this sport. You can't let it. You have to make it a part of your life. Don't make the sport your life.
Yeah. So, what's next for Bryon Sperduti?
Well, I'll be competing in DFAC Worlds on Halloween. That's in Miami, and in the first pro division, so that's pretty cool. And you know, I can say after that I'm going to take a hiatus and work on some lagging body parts and, you know, work on some other things. But who really know? We always say that, and then we end up prepping for another show before you know it. But that's the plan. Is after the show, definitely a little break.
Yeah.
Reverse out of my current deficit. You know, get some. I don't think I've trained in a surplus in quite a while, so that'll be something new to me. And you know, just come up with a game plan for the off season, and you know, keep making adjustments and bring up some lagging body parts, work on some compound movements, and see what's next.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we're checking out of here. Joe Croom, No Days Off Fitness, and Bryon of Genesis Personal Training. If you want to get in contact with him, he will tell you the information.
You can contact me on genesisptny@yahoo.com. Also on Instagram at Genesis Personal Training. Also on Facebook at Genesis Personal Training. Or you can friend me, I like friends, at Bryon Sperduti on Facebook.
Yeah, we are both located at 1234 Abbott Road. There are plenty of trainers down here at the Steel Mill Gym. Great atmosphere. Come check us out one day. Get a day pass. Come check it out. Checking out.